This is your Math Gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where all of my videos are organized by topic. Alright, this is video 4 in our series of solving equations with parentheses. So let's go ahead and work on this equation. If you want, put the video on pause and try it all on your own first. Okay, so we need to simplify each side of the equation to begin with. And on each side, there's a distributive property I need to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Over on the left-hand side, I'm going to distribute 10 through this x minus 5. 10 times x is 10x minus 10 times 5 is 50. And then I have minus 9x. And on the right side, I also need to distribute right here. 3 times x is 3x. Minus 3 times 4 is 12, and then I have minus 7. So I eliminated the parentheses on both sides in the first step. And now we still have to simplify each side. Well, that's the easiest way to do it. Simplify each side by combining like terms. So I have 10x minus 9x, that's just x, and then minus the 50. And on the right side, we have 3x, and we've got a minus 12 and a minus 7. That's going to be a minus 19. Okay, now we need to get the variables on one side and constants on the other. Doesn't matter which side you put them on. I think I'll put the variables on the right so that I'll end up with a positive coefficient. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and be very careful here. 3x minus x is not 3x. It's like, okay, you got 3 cats minus 1 cat, you got 2 cats, right? Remember that there's that invisible when. If you need to see it, write it in. So we're going to end up with our variable of 2x over here, right? Our variable part. I should say our variable term. All right, so that means we want to get rid of this minus 19. So let's add 19 to both sides. And we have to be very careful here. We're adding a negative 50 and a plus 19. So you're adding a negative and a positive. It's more negatives, so the answer is negative. And then you subtract, right? The 50 minus 19. And you can go over on the side if you can't do that in your head. Okay, but you should get 31. So it's going to be negative 31. Ooh, what fun this is going to be. So when I divide by 2, I get a fraction again. But remember, that's okay. So x looks like it's negative 31 halves. Okay. So for sure, we want to check our solution. Okay, we're going to have to plug in negative 31 halves for x. So we're going to copy the 10 and the parentheses, and we're going to have negative 31 halves. Now, I'm going to subtract 5. Instead of writing minus 5, I'm going to go ahead and get a common denominator because I know at my next step I'm going to have to subtract some fractions and you want a common denominator. So 5 is the same as 10 halves, right? You can think of 5 if you need to. 5 over 1 times 2 over 2, that's where I get that 10 halves, minus 9 times my negative 31 halves. Okay, so that's just 9 over 1. Okay, so I've plugged in negative 31 halves. Let me make those red. All right, and on the right-hand side, I'm going to plug in negative 31 halves. This time I'll remember to do the red, negative 31 halves. Now, minus 4. All right, I want to also do that as halves, so that's going to be 8 halves, right? 4 is the same as 8 halves, minus 7. I know it's tricky arithmetic, but that is so cool because you get to use your brain. Work on your arithmetic. All right, so I have to simplify inside parentheses here. I'm going to just simplify the left-hand side, and then we'll go ahead and do the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, order of operation, you have to simplify within parentheses here. So that's 10 times, so I've got a common denominator, negative 31 minus 10, the new numerator will be negative 41 halves. You could have written that as 10 times negative 41 halves or put it in a parentheses to mean 10 times that. All right, and over here I have a minus and I have a negative, so that's going to end up being a plus. And I've got to do, remember this is 9 over 1, 9 times 31. Okay, so I think that's 279. So that's going to be 279 halves. So on the left-hand side, while it's true I could cancel 2 into 10 and get 5, I'd have to go back and get a common denominator of 2. So I'm going to leave that 2 and just multiply across. I've got negative 410 halves plus 279 halves. All right, so I'm going to have something over 2 here. So let's see, I'm adding a negative and a positive, and there's more negatives, right? So I know the answer is going to be negative, and then you could just do your arithmetic over on the side someplace, 410 minus 279, and that is 131. Let's see. So the left-hand side simplifies to negative 131 halves. Now, if you want, you could write that as a mixed number or as a decimal. I'm just going to leave it as a reduced fraction because we're probably going to have the one on the right written in a reduced fraction form as well. That's just one less step I have to do. Okay, let's see what the right-hand side simplifies to. So I have a 3 and I have to simplify inside parentheses. So what's that? Well, it's over 2, and I've got negative 31 minus 8 is negative 39. Okay, and then I'm going to have to subtract 7. Okay, all right, nothing cancels here, so I have to do 3 times 39. You could do that on scratch paper or with a calculator, but it's really a negative, right? 3 times negative 139 over 2, because it's 3 over 1. So that gives me negative 117 halves. And then I have to subtract 7, so I need to get a common denominator, right, of halves. So 7 over 1 is the same thing as 14 over 2. So I've got negative 17 halves minus 14 halves. So that's the same as plus a negative, right? Adding the two negatives, you're going to add and still have a negative number. So I have negative 131 halves. And now we compare. Oh, got the same number on both sides. So that means our solution of negative 31 halves, that's what we were checking, is the correct solution. So our solution was indeed negative 31 halves. Now you may notice that it was a lot easier to do the problem than to solve the problem than check. And actually that's true. You know, solving problems and using algebra usually is easier than doing arithmetic. This is just arithmetic when you're checking your work and working with fractions and common denominators and parentheses and order of operations. But you do still need to know how to do that. But actually it's more complicated than solving most algebra problems. This is your Math Gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com where all of my videos are organized by topic.